Oh, hello there, dear viewer. Thanks for joining me or watching this after. It's been a while, but I've been working on some stuff and I felt like talking about it. Um, this is going to be a little live stream. We're going to walk through what I've been working on and also just do a little bit of the coding side. It's a little bit of a two birds, one stone kind of deal. I kind of in the middle of developing some little feature on this little project. And I also wanted to make a video, but it's not really in a good state that I can like actually make a polished video. So I'm just gonna ramble a bit during a stream because that's like the easy way out. Anyway, here we go. So vite-plugin-fable, what is this thing? Um, TLDR, if you're starting a new Fable application, Fable compiles F# to JavaScript, so that's fine. However, you're never just going to do that. You're always going to run the JavaScript one way or another. And when building a web application, Vite is like the thing that's sort of popular right now. And I also have like a lot of respect for the people, the folks behind it. It's really, really interesting from like a community point of view. Anyway, Vite is even recommended in the official Fable documentation. So what they do is say npm init install vite and then say ignore all the F# files. We're gonna load our transpiles program and um, yeah, eventually they basically are gonna say, hey, .NET Fable, like access the .NET Fable tool, and then run vite in a separate process after it. So what kind of happens is that, okay, if you never heard of vite, this is going to be a lot to take in, but I'm just going to assume you kind of have some idea of what I'm talking about. Basically, Fable is going to compile the F# to JavaScript, put it on disk, and then vite is going to just pick up the JavaScript in another process. Now, what I don't really like about this is that the entry point is on the .NET side of things, and the rest of the world will just do npm run dev, which will just run vite, and that's sort of the how the majority of the vite users will sort of start their application, just start vite itself. That's why you chose it in the first place. So the whole idea was that can we not have a can we not have a plugin that just hooks into vite? You still start vite, and then whatever needs to happen from the F# side of things just happens inside of the plugin. Now, that being said, this is all a little bit easier said than done. But the TLDRs that I've been working on this little vite plugin thing, and the story is that I kind of want to have a different dev experience. I just want to, well, in this case, bun, because I'm a bun guy right now. And then you essentially just start that. You import the plugin. So this is kind of published to npm, but it's not really in like a you should definitely use it state. It's mainly published that I could have a hold of the name. And what you do is you import your F# file, and then the plugin knows how to deal with that extension and just goes with it. Eventually talks to Fable, again, in another process, because you just have to bridge the Node and the .NET world. But, the entry point is definitely just the normal Vite way of doing things. A Vite plugin kind of exists out of a function with some callback hooks. One of them is the get configuration. Once I know what kind of is your main F# project, then I'll sort of ask .NET, hey, resolve everything you need to know about this project. Once an F# file changes, I can say, hey, this changed, which JavaScript files need to be reevaluated, and then you sort of do a little dance there. So yeah, I actually sort of went on the level of creating a little docs website because I kind of am very excited about this little thing. I'll be covering it more, I guess, in the months to come, but maybe also not. So that's also just like an interesting thing. There's some technical implementations when it comes to all of this. There's a lot of knowledge involved in creating these things, and the gist what I'm trying to express here is that you need to know how a Vite plugin works. You need to know how the .NET will call and the communication happening with JSON RPC. You kind of need to know how Fable works, because I had to contribute things to Fable to get it running outside of the command line. You kind of need to know how the F# fork in Fable works. So I don't want to discourage people into sort of contributing, but there's just a lot of complicated stuff, and I'm not quite sure what to do with that. The current status is it works a little bit. I have one project that uses this, so this is Telplin thing. This online tool is actually, evaluated. It's built with Vite as well, and then can run in dev mode with it. Um, and yeah, there's also Phantomus tools, which I have a PR for. So if we go to GitHub over here, I actually get it running, but it might not be just in like the desirable states to start using this. So it's still sort of in between a lot of things. And yeah, that's about it. So there's energy, there's passion in this thing. I'm definitely excited about it. I really think from a developer's experience that this is just a good move. Because there are some interesting differences in how this works versus how you would do it in the recommended Fable way over here. But then, yeah, that's also about it. I went to FOSDEM last week, and one of the talks I saw was like, take your open source project from surviving to thriving. The TLDR of the talk is like, if you put some software out there and you're just, you're passionate, you're living in the moment, and you're just doing it. The problem there is that you need to think about, do I want this project to survive? Do I really want other people to use this? Will I be there for the entire project? How do I grow community? Yeah, what's sort of the sustainability plan? And I must say, I absolutely don't have one yet for this little project. There's like some lessons I kind of wanna lessons learned from like maintaining Phantomus. And yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do with this kind of a plugin. Like, I don't really want to just put it out there, convince people to start using it, and then get issues back like, hey, this isn't working for me, and then have that awkward conversation like, yeah, this is totally fine. I built this in my spare time. If it's not working for you, it's not working for you. So yeah, a little bit searching for what's like a good thing to sort of deal with this. Because there's passion energy now that might go away. I might just stop all this tomorrow for all I know. So it's a little bit a quest of what do I do in terms of making this big or keeping this smaller. Should I have not published it at all? But that's little that. Let's talk shop. So I have the code base with me, and the thing in itself is just a Vite plugin, which basically boils down to something like this, where you have a plugin that returns an object which has a couple of callback hooks. That is then something you can initiate inside of your Vite config. So in this case, this is a sample project in the Vite plugin repository. It's just going to use the plugin from one folder up instead of the published npm package. But in essence, you just say that you're using Fable, and once you do that, Vite knows what to do when an incoming FS file is happening. The proof is in the pudding. I'm actually in the middle of something, so I kind of hope this still works. But let's go to the sample project. It really doesn't contain that much. So there's this library thing, which has some stuff in it. And there's this math file, which has some stuff in it. And the index HTML over here is going to load the library file. So when I do now npm run dev, well, of course I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do button run dev because, again, I'm a button guy. It's basically spinning up a lot of things, as in the plugin will talk to a .NET process that's sort of spinned up. That's what we will see in this Fable daemon project thing. So if I do like a ps -df, you'll somewhere see that, yeah, there we go. I did spin up a console application, and then from the standard input, standard output, that sort of communicates via JSON messages. This is very similar to how Phantom's client works, if you're familiar with that. But in any case, that sort of kicks off. Vite is running. If I open this, it says it cannot resolve. Does a file exist? Okay, that definitely is a little bit unexpected, but as I said, I'm sort of in the middle of things. So it is trying to resolve the encode file. And, well, first let's check in the Fable module. So the encode file does exist. And I guess the transform wasn't able to resolve the file. This is kind of weird. I'm not really expecting this one. But yeah, that's sort of the part of it. If this happens, then you kind of need to sort of deal with it. Let's do a quick run to see if it still builds, and then we're just gonna have to debug this. Like, this is no look how amazing this is. This is more like real world stuff can happen. So maybe this really is just a cache issue. Okay, it did fail to import. The question would be whether it is even able to find this file. Although I kind of would suspect that it does find this. So there's library, and then it needs to go to this file. Yeah. A couple of hours ago, this would have shown you something, and then that compiled file was actually working. Now, this is real life, so let's just debug it. I wasn't fully prepared. I just started the stream. Could have checked this, but here we are. Now, let's take a look at what this looks like from more like a debug site. I have a unit test that sort of replicates what happens in Node, and I can put some breakpoints in. So it's going to load this app.fs proj, it's going to load Fable library, and the question would be, what happens after the initial compile? Is that file even there? That will be the relevant thing to answer. Inside this JSON RPC, we're using a little mailbox thing, and eventually it is going to try compile the project. And I was working on some caching, so maybe I already just botched the thing and checked if it doesn't do that. So let's go back to our tests and do a little debug. This also is a good excuse to play around with some of the internals of Fable. Like, there's some things that it does which I think could be done differently, or just wonder why they are today what they are today. And this running this plugin sort of helped me learn a lot of things as well. For example, I'm trying a different approach when it comes to caching. So this will try. Okay, so this worked in release. So let me just run this in debug. And thing it should do, it takes the design time build information, and it will just try and reuse that. So it does evaluation of everything that's in there. So when we take a look at this, we basically want to know all the project options, like which files are included in this, which information does the compiler need, assemblies that are referenced. So I'm just going to double check what all the files here are included. And that already kind of gives it away. So I am a little surprised that we're not seeing the Fable project over here. Although, yeah, I think it's resolved at a later point in time. That might still make sense. So we type checked our project. The type check response is also an interesting one. Let me see the source files. Okay, you can see Fable actually creates a in-memory project, a sharp project of all the files. So even if you're just using like a NuGet reference, it still just needs those files from source, because it cannot, for good reasons, always interact with like the compiled version of those specific files. So that's why it needs the source. And the source is there, so let's take a look. What comes to mind is maybe I'm missing some resolver function. So it is going to try and load the files from cache, which is something I was trying to work on. I was actually thinking of just continuing this little thing from the stream, and it's taking the source files, all of these, and it's then just gonna compile those all together. The question would be if that even works. I would assume it does because of the builds, but let's see what happens. If we even get to that point. The good stuff. So we are somewhere. Who knows? The initial compile was a success, so it is able to compile all the files. You can sort of see that all the FS files are compiled to JavaScript, but the interesting thing is that, for example, in this file over here, it's still going to import things from a .fs, and that's important because then that's the only reason the vite plugin would kick in and try and get it from the compiled file again. The TLDR is that you always want to keep working with the FS extension so that the vite plugin hooks in correctly. And what you want to do there is then just replace, if you already have the result of that, just replace it and the plugin returns the actual JavaScript and transform callback hook. So that all actually seems pretty fine. Then I see no real reason why it's getting a different response. And interestingly enough, I did update the Vite version, so 5.1 is a thing now, so maybe that's a bug in there, although I highly doubt it. The question is what did happen in that transform. That's rather interesting. It just doesn't find the FS file from library, but that path actually seems okay and pre-transform. So that's a bit of a new one. I haven't seen the pre-transform thing error. Let me, just for fun, revert back to the 5x version. Try and blame it on that. I'm not quite sure if that works. No changes. Yeah, you need to do the note thing there and put in whatever version was. To probably do a little bit of a lookup. Yeah, I'm using Gateway to connect to a writer running in my WSL, and it definitely misses a lot of little features. Like in other IDEs, you probably get some IntelliSense right after this cursor, and yeah, here it does absolutely nothing. So there is a 5.1.1, so that's interesting. And let us try the 0.11 just for fun. Let us also, quite sure, might be part of the problem. Let's also run the post install, which actually does a publish of the daemon project. So the important bit is that I want this to be ready to run so that it just starts a lot faster. The .NET process will be snappier. And maybe That's what happens. Okay. This, yeah, this is actually good. Definitely better. So let us go library, change this to foo. Running presentation mode, so try and put those side by side. Nice, that works. I'm going to save. Oh, it already saved. So yeah, I'm going to save bar, and then it reloads the bar, because that's basically how your Vite works. This change was detected. The change is then sent to the daemon process thing, like the this guy, and then eventually it will have an in-memory representation of the compiled file. So that's another nice thing. I don't see any of my JavaScripts on this because it's not really necessary. Vite can just handle all of that in memory, and that's actually a lot more efficient. Right now, what happens here is that everything is written on disk, and from Vite's point of view, Fable doesn't exist. Like there's no relation. I don't really, I want to do this little difference that I don't have everything in memory and sort of get through this. Okay, that basically is the TLDR. If you're doing React and do the, you know, play along the rules of hot module reloading, the thing would automatically refresh in the browser, but I haven't really gotten to that bit yet. So not quite sure if that works. I don't see any reason it shouldn't, but at the same time, I just have no idea if it does. Yeah, this is all a lot of, a lot of things can go wrong in this kind of project. And yeah, I'm just not in the stage where I can, hands down say this is going to work for everybody. And I'm not really sure if I'm going that direction either. So it's all a little bit up in the air. Cool. So for my own curiosity, let's try and update this to Vite, whether I can really pin this one on Vite itself, or there's some other little magic thing I don't know why. Okay, interesting. So there definitely is some sort of retransform hook that is not working out for me. Does the file exist? This is pretty interesting. Let us stick to the 0.11 for now. And keep that running. Anyway, so as established, we have like 6 files in our projects, but actually we have 2 files that are our own. So because I'm using a NuGet package, which you can see over here, I'm using toff.json. That in itself brings in a couple of files in the Fable modules. These are then added to your project. Fable is going to compile these, well, the .NET tool, like to a .fs.js, but I don't really think I want to do that, because changing that extension then has, again, the implication that I need everything to be .fs for vite-plugin to load it in. But it's a bit of a hassle, and that's why I sort of decided let's not do that. But I kind of know if I don't change my project or my Fable compiler or my settings and options and whatnot, none of that is ever going to change. Like if I run the dev server again, the decode result will be the same. And which brings me to the topic of the day, which is, well, just me trying to fix that one up a little bit. And let's see what we can do. I actually already had like a bit of a plan for this one. The design time builds, which is like a topic on its own, but I saved the result of that in a cache file over here. This is using protobuf, so it's not really readable. I haven't really figured out if that's the way to go or not, but the essence is that I want to just have like a similar file to this from the files that aren't going to change, and that's sort of the thing I'll probably still explore and then wrap up this little stream if something interesting comes to mind in the future, I might stream again. That's basically it. All right. So the entry point of this whole thing is that there is a console application. This takes input output, creates the Fable server. The Fable server will accept messages, RPC calls. The RPC calls put messages in a mailbox listener. So there's a mailbox over here. And the loop function takes in the different messages. One of those messages is just compile the full project. This is like when the entry point happens. So I did a little split about when it gets the F# type check versus when it wants to compile to JavaScript. And in the full compile project, if I go into the helper function that does the compilation, it will just takes all the files, all the source files, and then gives it to Fable to then compile those in parallel. That works pretty nice, but the thing is that I probably want to see if I already have the cached results, and if that is the case, then just not do not return the entire list of files to Fable to do this. So this is basically going to be a little bit like if map is empty, it's going to be a map, then just do what we already had to filter out like the signature files, because we don't, those will never produce any JavaScript. But if it is, then basically I can just skip all these source files that are already in the cached version, and then sort of return the result of that. The compiled files are a map, so that's all good. So I'll just need like a combine the map later on. So I'll say source files. Yeah, I kind of want to filter them as well. Good. Cache. Yeah. Let's say so this should have keys, I think. Yeah, IntelliSense isn't really working in this whole setup. It's nice though, but it only really starts highlighting again when you have the full color right. So that sucks a little bit. We are basically going to create a set of Zeek, and we're just going to do a little bit of a different. We just want to filter out the files that we already had. So if it's not a signature file, and if the cached files don't contain the file name, okay, source file, then I kind of want it to be one of the files to produce it. And compiled files is going to be the result of this. Not sure if there's like a map dot concat or combine, or how to merge two maps, so we'll have to look that up real quick. Or go to map, and is there a concat combine? Boom. Okay, that doesn't seem to be the case. Yeah, we'll need to do something slightly different. So fold maybe, like we fold key values. To, yeah. Fold USD. Files. We're wondering about the order, but I don't think the order really matters in this case. So do a dot fold, and that gives us the state. Value. Map add probably. The value states, and this still needs the other map. And there we go. And those are the compiled files. So that should work. Good, but this of course doesn't really write the files to the cache. So we tried to get them from the cache, but maybe well, if this is going to be empty, it's not going to create the next file just yet. So we'll need to do that part as well. Let's then say if empty. I'm just freewheeling this. I might, change my mind later on. Let's just write project name and I'll of course need to filter the initial compile results to get those exact files. So let's say table show files. Kind of hope there's a map filter. Is that a thing? Yep. Say key contains table modules with an underscore. Does not. Yes, compile results dot the compiled files. Go. This write function doesn't exist yet, of course. It takes the project name and make a map of files. Let's do that. Go. With some map with a full path and the JavaScript code. Yeah, just move this one folder down. Oh yeah, we're using the cache key, so I'll probably want to grab the cache key here as well. Yeah, cache key is sort of the concept of all the properties that your project has, and it checks your references, what kind of NuGet packages you have, and then what what stuff can impact it, and it will sort of check all the file hashes. For example, if you're working like me with a directory built props, if that file changed, I'll probably detect it in the future and then you know invalidate the cache key, and then the next time I know, oh, I need to do the design time build and stuff like that. So we'll just do the cache key thing again, take in the Fable modules, and probably here wrap it a little bit with like a try catch and call it a day for the stream. So it's basically takes then the Fable module files. For the example project we see here, these are like 4 files, so it's not that bad. But yeah, when you have more Fable modules, you'll have more of these things. So I basically need to create a proto instance. That's the way I sort of read it. There's a record, I believe. So yeah, that's just the files, which we'll need to convert that because the protobuf doesn't understand what like an fprop map is. So I didn't bother telling them, and just created a type that has the key value thing. So I'll do a is this a stick? Value something like this, and this is files, that's all fine. And then we just do file. I'm gonna create, but I basically wanna. Nah. Probably want to override if the file exists, so I don't know by heart what I kind of need for that, but for this little example, let's just go with this. We're going to create a file and serialize or serialize. Type this, and the instance would be proto. That needs a to array. Go. Yeah, this might be close enough. Definitely put some breakpoints here, but grab gets resolved files. We did our filter. Table modules. It's going to write that. Should be fine. And compile files will just be the combination of that. Yeah, I think this could work. Let's just try the unit test and see if it creates the cache file this time. Someone said hi in the chat, saying hi back. Yeah, this is another gateway thing. Like, is it doing something or not? Who knows? Just it says that the debug was finished. Yeah, not quite sure. Test. Oh, maybe it's building somewhere it's still running. Though, no, I don't think so. Yeah. It feels a little stuck. So when in doubt, just kill it. Yeah. I mean, I really like the idea and the concept, but the execution at times just isn't really there yet. And of course, I'm asking a lot. Like the tool, needs to deal with me doing .NET things, but also doing front end things, and I kind of get it that it's not super there yet. Uh, But I really hope that like in 6 months' times, I'm able to say like this is my go-to now. This is, I'm running everything, absolutely everything in WSL, and it just really works well. Okay, implementation mode again. Just doing a little more. There we go. So it is going to try from the cache. There is no cache. Uh, so the compiled files did not filter, so that's good. Then variable module files are the ones from top, I expect. This one, yep. Yep, so that worked, and it is my current assumption that these just do not change if nothing else of the project or the compiler, any of the configurations that led it to produce this result change, then it's okay to just keep go using these. Let's see if we can just write those to the disk, doing the proto thing. Here it goes. That worked. And And let's see if we can read those out again. Yeah, this is still also very much a thinking exercise. Like I don't want to compile the files here, but I know these aren't going to change. So in between Vite runs, from day to day, you do kind of want that cached result. So that's what I'm sort of playing around with in this setup. Okay, it's gonna load the Vite files, opening files. It has those four. And it should only compile the do files. Okay, so these are my own files. It's okay to compile that. Maybe I want to cache those. Maybe I don't. I'm not really, haven't really figured that part out yet. And we got the same response. Of course, this won't tell us much really, but it's a step in the right direction, I think. And let's see if we now do a bun run def. The type checking will probably still always just take the longest, but the initial compile, the thing Fable did, will obviously have taken less. So that's really interesting part. And yeah, the type check part, what's possible to still address there is that graph-based type checking isn't fully stable yet, but it's definitely the way forward for doing the type check phase inside of this inside the Fable ecosystem. Like if you can do more in parallel there, then that also can just be sped up. So that's good. And when we click there, my foobar track is still there. So one more time for the fans. Let's even try something else. Like if I change the map file, this is used by this current file, so changing that also works. Although, why is this 20? Ah, yes. Okay, this is, yeah, I expect it to be 20. So yeah, cool. This is more or less what I had in mind. This is all very early. You can read my thoughts on all this from the documentation website. I'll probably talk at some point a little bit more public about it, but keep in mind that I'm very, aware of, yeah, I want to plan for this if I really want to make a lot of noise on this. If you see value in this and, I do professional services, we can have a commercial endeavor on this. This could definitely help your business just by, having your developers be a lot more proficient when working with these kind of things. And yeah, what you do with Fable today might just be very much an improvable situation on a developer experience, which is part of what I'm driving for it, but what I'm gonna end up delivering might not totally be the fit that you need. So that's why I'm sort of bringing this up. If you really, really are interested in having this, and if you really, really want this to work for you, then we should probably talk. But that being said, thank you for watching this video. It means a lot. You can do the like, share, subscribe thing, but it's fine if you don't. You're here because you're slightly interested, I hope, and that's enough for me. All right, bye bye.